Hi, Sydney. Good to
Hello.
see you.
Same here. Same here. Good to see you.
Can you kind of talk us through the big picture strategy? Obviously, you guys had a lot of picks, but what were you looking for overall? What were kind of your non-negotiables, and how did you kind of do that without Jamila?
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe go in reverse order. I mean, Michael Winger, John Thompson III, our stir team. Coaches, everybody. It takes a village. You know what I mean? And so I think just all those phenomenal people putting in a ton of work. Stir being our analytics folks, and that's Wizards and Mystics. So it's been pretty cool to see. You never get tired of watching the collaborative effort. Like I don't. And so that's kind of how we have gotten to this point and got through the week, and we'll continue on. And overall strategy, look, I'm always going to be honest and real. Is like, we're not the aces. But we've got some good players, some good young players, and we're trying to add to that core. The word that keeps coming to mind is ascending. It's just like we're growing and we're learning. And so the strategy was to identify really good players who kind of fit that mold of like good, young, hungry. We're also mindful of what we can do in free agency. Super thrilled to have Michaela with us. We don't want just a bunch of teenagers, but just as it relates to the draft, just who can add to this and be super professional, hungry, and ready to grow and learn and get better.
Just a quick follow-up. You mentioned Mick. What made you think that she was the right fit for the youth that you have and that you drafted today? And did you talk to her at all about the UCLA picks, or how does she feel about that?
Yeah, no, can't give any of that stuff away, so sworn to secrecy until the moment. But I've lived it. I coached her in Chicago when I was an assistant coach. She's a Prue off the charts. It's ridiculous how good she is in terms of on and off the court, her readiness, her toughness, her skill. She's a giver. So I think the city's going to love her. I know our team is going to love her, and I'm really happy and looking forward to coaching her here in D.C.
With Lauren Betts at 4, when you added her to the roster, how do you feel she will bolster the interior play for the team this year?
Yeah, I mean that's what she does, right? She's you got to have some kind of downhill presence just to play good basketball. You got to get to the rim, and so sometimes it's a guard who's driving and is relentless, and we might have one of those in Cody. But Lauren is one that you can do it back to the basket, and so in addition to the tremendous front court that we have, you kind of feel like, when Kiki needs a break and Kira needs a break, and I think Lauren, for the most part, will be backing up Kira. But when Kira comes out, you feel like, oh, man, like I don't know if you have a drop-off there because Lauren is so good. And then at the other end as well, in terms of a rim protector. But I think just the ability to not have a drop-off from the comeback player of the year and the level that Kira sets to then come with Lauren, I think it's a pretty healthy combination.
And a quick follow-up, just with Cody, you mentioned her, and how did her moving to the perimeter a little bit more this past season at Ole Miss help in terms of having that versatility in her skill set from Ohio State to Ole Miss? It was a big difference there. How did that help you decide on choosing her?
Yeah, she caught my eye at Ohio State. I mean, I was paying attention, and I really thought she had some very good play there. And then she went to Coach Yo and Ole Miss, and she got to play some point guard, and she showed off. She played really well. It's a very, very good league, as we all know, in the college game, and Cody showed off. She showed her versatility in terms of being strong and aggressive and athletic, but also having the finesse to Euro step at times and find these nifty passes. And then Coach Yo has her players playing hard defensively. So you saw a real two-way player who's super effective. So that was fun for me to watch, and was certainly paying attention to that.
Hey, Sydney.
Hello.
So my question for you is, with signing Alex Wilson to a training camp contract and drafting Rory Harmon, what is the expected timeline for Georgia Amore this season?
Yeah, good question. We're thrilled. Georgia's coming along great. So she's playing fives, built up. Don't want to give away her whole, return to play protocol, but no, we're expecting her to play. I'm like elated, and she's a thinker. So there's, make no mistake, she's part of our core. Like Georgia Amore is part of our core. We're excited to have her out there. And so we have some people who will be battling to kind of see how that minute split goes. But Georgia Amore would be out there on the court, and so it's Allie, it's Rory, it's whomever, like giving it a good run to see how they mix in and how they support the whole core, who can help lead us on and off the court.
And then my follow-up, with the drafting of Cass Prosper, can you just talk to us a little bit about that?
Another player that caught my eye, I think it was in the fall, and I texted the coaches and I said, like, who is this and how old is she? And, she's just making plays all over the place. And another excellent program that plays at a high level, obviously familiar with her when she was sharing the court with Sonia at times. And Cassandra, she looks like a player. You walk in the gym and you're like, who's that? I think a lot about that with Shakira. Like, you walk in the gym and you're like, you see her moving and you're like, that's a basketball player. I think Cassandra at a different position has that versatility. Another player who can play both ways, long, athletic. So just excited to see how that looks, and really hope that she's able to hit the ground running, because I think athletically and with the IQ, she can contribute. We'll just have to see how much.
Coach, what specifically about this class draft fits what the team needs?
I think. We really leaned into pro habits. We really understand how young we're going to be. I think of Angela, who's very, very mature and all the way through. But we really emphasize, listen, we want to be joyful around here. I get made fun about our local media and others. But, we do want to enjoy this ride. But when we're in the gym, we're working and we're trying to get better because we know the gains that we want to make. We want DC to be a place that's recognized for women's basketball and our ability to have success on the court. And so that's going to take work. And we need players who come in here, young or old, who or young or more mature, who are about their business. And so we really just listened closely and watched and talked to coaches and work with our strategy team here to find players who were good, who had a humility to work with others, but wanted to get better, like really want to get better and move this thing forward. As we said, we're ascending, and we want to close that gap between us and the absolute best team in the league. And at this point, that's Vegas.
Hey, Coach. How big did the eyes get in the war room when Rory Harmon is still there in the third round? That's a very low-risk, high-reward pick at that position. Yeah,
I know that Coach Vic has talked about her being the best point guard in the country, and there's a lot of winning there, and you can see that she's absolutely the heart and soul of that program, special connection with the coach, how she's come back from injury. You guys can keep me going. I know the stories of these women and the gains that they want to continue to make. And Rory she's got a lot of winning DNA in there, And so a bit surprising, but everybody's kind of trying to, figure out what's best for them. And, I don't think we're the only team that got better tonight, but I certainly know, I feel like we took a step forward, and Rory is a part of that.
Hi, Coach. How you doing?
Good.
Going back to Lauren Betts, her college career, 250-plus blocks. How do you think she'll fit defensively in the league alongside Shakira and Kiki, having those three bigs?
Yeah, I mean, I think there will be an adjustment to the quickness, the speed. Some of these guards are, they're above the rim, and they're crafty. Think about, the speed of Slim Sykes, who had an all-star year here, but then balance that with how Chelsea Gray goes about it and gets people in foul trouble and pump fakes, or Kelsey Plum. So those are going to be things that, as Lauren's rotating over or maybe even switching, at times, like that, she'll have to learn from that, and I think Kira will be one that will kind of show her the way. Kiki will as well. I think she'll learn fast because that's the type of player she is. But after some level of adjustment, I also think she's going to make an impact, and the more comfortable we can get and the more support we can provide for her, I think that impact comes sooner.
Hey, Coach. With the bevy of picks that you have in this draft, when you look at the later rounds, like how do you guys in the war room kind of look between players that could potentially make an immediate impact versus players that they're just coming to try to fight for a roster spot to kind of see what you can find later in the draft?
Yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out. I think the W, thank goodness the CBA got done. All right, and thank goodness our players are earning salaries that they're well worth it, and everything that they've put in. Thank goodness there's 2 developmental roles, and so there's some eye on could that play in? We'll have to see, but it allows us to bring in players and be a part of our program, and that's really what it is. We really lean into player development. We don't just toss that around. We take that seriously. So, our player development for our young players, our veteran players, that'll be a key. And maybe some of those picks will get on the roster, and maybe some of those, they'll be rostered, but they could be developmental players. We'll have to let that shake out and let training camp decide. But it's an opportunity, and that's why we were so very detailed in terms of who we wanted, even in the late rounds.
Hey, Coach. As far as the CBA agreement, you mentioned DC was kind of waiting on pins and needles to see if Shakira Austin was going to re-sign with the Washington Mystics. How important has it been to making sure that Shakira stayed in the DC area?
It's fundamental, man. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I'll tell you what I've told her. I'll tell you, she's part of our core. I mean, she's absolutely she's DC through and through. I fundamentally believe that this is the best team in the league, in the world, in this place, to get the best out of Shakira, and to see her grow into the player that she's already become, but there's more. There's a lot more in the tank. So I never, ever, ever looked at this thing without Shakira Austin with us, with the Mystics. And so super excited that it just kind of closed that out. And free agency, that's just kind of, that's what happens. But literally, there wasn't a day that's gone by that I was like, we're letting Shakira walk out of the door, or we're letting somebody else, claim her. Like that was never going to happen. I mean, she's a big part of this, and we're thrilled to be moving forward with her.
And just a follow-up question. I know I asked you last year, and it kind of circles back to this year. I think I read the average size of the first round draft picks was 6'4". Mm-hmm. How do you plan on utilizing all of these bigs? I know it's still pretty early, but
Yeah, 6'4" for us. You're saying? Yeah, right. I was like, I hope that's not everybody in the league. I was like, good. Last year at times, we were on the other side of things, in terms of physicality and length. that's a part of this puzzle. Like it's a grown women, and they play hard, and they're athletic, and they're long, and they can make plays. And on some level, you just need those tools to compete. And we have a bit more of that, and we're excited. You know, we can maybe possibly do some different things defensively. Sometimes we had to be a little bit more conservative and measured. Can we take some chances? Can we take some risks, you know, and bother some people and get them out of their comfort zone, encourage them to get to the rim and smack it out of bounds, you know, all these kind of things. So, again, got to get everybody comfortable, got to get everybody on the same page. But it is exciting to have some modern kind of basketball and some length that we can try to bother some people and see if we can do some different things than last year.
Hi, Coach Sydney. My name is Beverly Robertson. I'm with Exclusive Access tonight. And I wanted to just follow up on this. With the departure of GM Jamila, how do you best foresee managing basketball operations alongside head coaching duties thus far in this moment in time?
Yeah, really good question. Greatly appreciate what Jamila contributed to the organization. You know, Michael Winger is our president, operates all three teams with the Wizards, the Mystics, the Go-Go. He's been amazing, you know, just set an incredible foundation of people who really, really care about basketball and are trying to do it the right way. And he, as much as anybody, John Thompson III as well, Don Wolf is one of our senior VPs, but these three folks, they've just really kind of set the tone for we're doing it as a group, collaboratively. I'm just a part of it. I'm not the whole thing. Our analytics folks, our coaching staff, medical. And so back to the kind of the strategy piece, it's just everyone doing a little bit more, and that collectively, I think will carry us through. It certainly got us to this moment where we felt like we got some good players and got better this evening, and that'll be the approach moving forward. I certainly will be leaning on them, and I think they've been eager and willing to lean on me, and that's how we're going to make it work. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you waiting. Yeah, have a good night. Thank you. Thank you.